glad you could join us. Now, we've just had the weigh-in for Usyk versus Dubois 2. I think the weigh-in itself maybe finalised my decision in terms of prediction on what I think is going to happen. But before then, um, I do want to give a unique insight into this fight. A very unique insight into the fight because there are things that a lot of people would not know about Alexander Usyk. And again, where I think Team Dubois have back game plan is it will backfire. Okay, so for those of you who don't know me or know of my background in terms of this channel, I've done interviews with many top fighters and trainers. Before all this YouTube craze of all these people doing interviews now, I did a lot of interviews back in the day. One of the trainers that I built a very good relationship with, can now call him uncle, is James Elabashir. James Elabashir trained Alexander Usyk. I was around Alexander Usyk when he was just got with Usyk, and he was saying this guy is going to go on to be cruiserweight world champion, who's going to become heavyweight world champion. This is where I knew from Uncle Bashir, much more known to the world as James Ali Bashir. I call him uncle because he's dear to me, and I've 13, 12, 13 years of mentorship under him from the world of boxing. Listen to his wisdom, his knowledge and understanding of over 50 plus years in the boxing world, particularly in the heavyweight division, working with great fighters, the Klitschko's, Lennox Lewis, even worked with Anthony Joshua, a multitude of fighters, Jamal McLean, Shannon Briggs, the list goes on and on with fighters that James Ali Bashir has worked with, Uncle Bashir has worked with, and that has given me a great insight. And in that time, I got to understand about Alexander Usyk. I got to understand his mindset. I got to understand the man from a coach's perspective, as I'm a coach myself. So it was fascinating to hear the stories of Usyk, and how his faith has been the cornerstone of his mental psyche and setup. And it is almost, if you look at Alexander Usyk from the way I look at him, it's always been Alexander Usyk and his faith against the giants. When he went into the in the heavyweight division, it was his faith. And I'm not trying to say his faith is greater than anybody else's, but I'm saying that it's his faith that has kept him so strong at times when many other men would fall to the wayside. And that this is manifested even more so because of the war that's going on now in Ukraine, and he's able to go to Ukraine. And as Derek Chisori alluded to, he spoke about how Usyk would sit in his house, he would hear bombs going off and missiles landing, and he'd be in his household with his family while that's going off in Ukraine. He was also going to go and fight on the front line, but they said, the military said, no, you can make us more proud and you can inspire us by carrying on this boxing journey. So for then Dubois' trainer to come in and question what sort of a god do you serve, that is very dangerous. It is a very dangerous thing to be doing when you're questioning a man like Alexander Usyk and his faith and calling him possibly a liar. That is dangerous, and you don't understand the spiritual ramifications of what you're doing. This fight is not just a natural fight with two guys fighting. This is a spiritual fight going on here. If you watch Usyk carefully in this fight in particular, if you look how he's holding on to his rosary. If you watch him in a press conference, he's holding to a rosary. If you watch when he's went out to the weigh-in, he's very much, and he's talking very much vocally about the God that he serves, or his belief in Jesus Christ. He talks very openly about it. He's been very vocal about it as a clap back to what Dubois' trainer said. And the person who's going to suffer for those statements is not the trainer. But the fighter has no idea what he's entangled and got himself into. He just thinks, it's like a wind up, just to wind him up and send him out to fight. This isn't um, Herkovich or Joshua or Miller. None of those guys had to fight for an army or for a country and have the weight and responsibility on their shoulders. None of those guys had to do that. They had their own fight, which they failed in, and they failed in preparation. You look at Joshua, you look at Herkovich, and you look at Miller. All those guys were ill prepared to face Daniel Dubois. Joshua was confusion from one trainer to another, not knowing whether he was a boxer, a brawler, a Mexican, an African American, or he didn't know what he was. He had identity crisis going in there, hands down by his side, not knowing who or what direction he was in. It was Joshua. So I put into one side, and I said that Dubois would stop Joshua. We saw that. We look at the Herkovich fight. The Herkovich fight. I told everyone that he would beat Herkovich. Herkovich came in there, still remembering Dubois as a young boy, right? And thinking, oh, I punched him up when I was younger. I'll punch him up now. Herkovich was not prepared for the war he expected against Dubois, and Dubois just basically ran through him. Herkovich wasn't prepared for a war. And I remember Jim Watt once saying, he said these words: "You can't prepare for a war if you're not if in the middle of them. You have to prepare going into war. You can't prepare while you're in the war. You have to fight when you're in the war. The preparation should be done before." And it was Herkovich's problem: arrogance, overconfidence. And Miller was just overweight. Miller was overweight. Let's be honest. I think a Miller that was in shape may well have beaten Dubois, but he was out of shape. Lack of preparation. So those three guys. Put that to one side, right? This is not a pro Usyk video, by the way. Let's make this clear. This is not a pro Usyk video, but these are the things as they are. Things that the media won't tell you. The things that the media will not put out there, because obviously they have to sell a fight. They have to show a two-horse fight, a legged fight. Because if not, if they don't show a two-horse race and they just approach you as, oh yeah, Usyk's gonna knock him out, then why would you buy the pay-per-view? Why would you turn up to see the fight? They've got to sell the fight to you for you to believe in the fight, right? So the narrative is, oh, Usyk's old. Well, what else can you say? He's old. But what else can you say? You've just come off beating Fury twice. You beat Joshua back to back. You beat Chisora, right? You beat Tony Bellew. You were undisputed cruiserweight champion. So what can you say apart from look at his age and spin the narrative on that he's old? But what have you seen in his last fight? He looked very good against Tyson Fury. So where are we getting this narrative for where he's older? All the wheels are falling off suddenly. And the other thing is, Usyk keeps his body in tremendous condition. One thing people say about Tyson Fury, well, Tyson Fury, who's in and out of the ring and wasn't in great shape, and we know that he was drinking and boozing and all the rest of it, and you see him looking like a slob at times. This is what Tyson Fury is. Oh, no, that's not brought up. That there may be too many miles on the clock. The fact he fought Wilder in three tough fights, or two tough fights, four knockdowns in three fights. Would that not taken something out of Fury? No, you won't sell that. You didn't sell it that way. But of course, you've got to sell it for Dubois that he's older, and sell the low blow. But you don't sell the fact that he was knocked down twice in that fight. Twice. We don't sell that. Talk about Dubois being the puncher, because you know he can't outbox Usyk, but you say he's a puncher. But who's the one who got dropped twice? In fact, one person, the same person, got dropped by a jab. So yes, Dubois may have been better, but it's the same sort of Dubois. And the thing is, which is more concerning, I'm gonna sing a song to you. You probably know it. It's a nursery rhyme. It goes like this: Humpty Dumpty sat on the wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again. So he sat on a wall, he had a great fall, and all the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put him together again. That is a story of, or an idea of, an individual who had a false confidence in himself, and a false confidence in the people around him. The people were telling him things that weren't true, or giving him information that wasn't true. Ah, you're the greatest, you're this, you're that, you're the other. And they're pushing forward and saying all these things. And Humpty Dumpty was repeating the things that the guards and the men were saying. So when Humpty Dumpty actually fell off the wall, he had confidence, and the wall collapsed, and he fell down off the shaky wall. He fell off the wall, he cracked his skull. What happened? They couldn't put him back together again because he was such a bad shape. Physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, he was in a terrible shape. The moral of the story here is this: if your confidence in this sport of boxing, if your confidence is not 900%, and if you have any doubts, they begin to manifest themselves. And in this fight, if things go wrong for Dubois early, i.e., a knockdown, a cut, he's hurt, visibly he's hurt, and the fight is not going according to what was said in sparring, in training camp, in what they've been saying to him, this will psychologically break Dubois. I'm telling you now, and he may never recover from it. You don't understand what we're looking at here. To me, Dubois is in danger for this fight. I'm not saying he's going to get significantly hurt, meaning, but he is in danger because he's built himself, as far as I'm concerned, in a false confidence, a very false confidence. Yeah, he's beaten three guys, and that's good, and that's the narrative. He's beaten three guys. Can he go and be undisputed? No, he hasn't. He isn't. None of those three guys you're talking about are educated boxers. None of those three guys have got the footwork of what Alexander Usyk or Herkovich was unbeaten, but really the Zhang fight exposed him. Josh had already been knocked out already, and Miller was indisciplined, and he didn't come in shape right. I'm not knocking Dubois' results now. I'm not knocking his wins and his comeback, right? And his comeback has been based around, yes, Don has been talking, his trainer Don has spoken to him and fed him a lot of confidence to the point where Dubois has forgotten who he is. He is now a hybrid of, he's like his trainer and him. But himself is lost. Himself is lost. The one thing you can guarantee with Daniel, he's going to look outside the ring looking for his dad. Look out the ring for his dad. That's his source of strength. Don should never, ever have said what he said about Usyk. Never, ever. Because not only have you, what you should have done is kept the comments to yourself. Really should have kept the comments to yourself and said, you know what? What I would have done, as I said before in previous videos, I would have kept Dubois simmering over. And I would not mention anything about the low blow. I said, all right, you know what? Fine, Mr. Usyk, you're a great fighter. Blah, 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 blah. I just said, you know what? And kept this man calm, pacified. And then on the night, let a complete rage and jump on him. But no, you let the cat out of the bag. You're flipping talking about you're going to come forward. It's going to be carnage and chaos to a man that's living in a war zone. Who are you? And the guys around, who are you to even try that with Usyk? You got to come one better than that. Tyson Fury's got better boxing skills than you. You're thinking so you're definitely going to outbox him, right? You ain't going to box Usyk, right? So what are you going to do? You're going to come out and throw bombs. So you're going to come out and throw more punches. So Usyk already knows that, and he's always better the second time round. But here's the catch. Usyk weighs in 227 pounds, which tells me he wants more meat in his punches. He's bulked up a little bit more so he can stand there, hit there, and hurt Dubois. As you know, he's dropped Dubois, he's made Dubois take the knee, and he stopped Dubois with a right jab. So take that all into consideration. He's hurt Dubois, he's dropped Dubois. Who's the bigger puncher? Who's the bigger puncher? When it's all said and done, you look in the record books, Usyk, TKO or KO Dubois. That's what it says. They didn't talk about no low blows. That's what it says. So they come to do it again. And now they're going to make the same mistake that Joshua's made and Fury's made and Chisora made. All these guys is just bulk up and push forward. Because clearly you're not winning this fight off the back foot. You have to come forward. Well, Usyk's not so good on the back foot. You're gonna have to get him onto that back foot, and in doing so, you fight a fight which you're not comfortable with because you're gonna get pinged, and you're gonna get pinged from angles. And I think we're gonna see the very best Usyk come Saturday night. The best of Usyk has not been shown yet, but I think in this fight we'll see the very best of Alexander Usyk, and that is going to be a huge problem because there's nobody who can they bring out in sparring a southpaw that will be able to mimic what Usyk does. What Moses Atama? Come on, which southpaw do you know? You pull me up a southpaw now in the world of heavyweight boxing today that boxes similar to Usyk, has got the experience of Usyk. I'm not blowing smoke up this guy's ass. I'm just telling you he's a once in a generation type of fighter. I'm not blowing smoke up his ass. I'm just telling you what it is. So you can prepare. You can get guys who look like Joshua. You can get guys who mimic Joshua, mimic Herkovich, can mimic Miller. You can't get guys who are going to mimic Usyk. And there in Seoul is a problem. So you're going to have to deal with somebody who's going to give you the angles again. Right? So you can do so much. And it's fine. But like I said, this fight is beyond just a natural fight. And everything I've said so far has begun to manifest itself. Even when I talked about the trainer and what the trainer says and stuff. Ross Amber started talking about it and talked about what in my opinion, is a false confidence for Daniel Dubois. He's working on a false confidence. And with a false confidence, the minute one thing goes wrong, it's like the domino effect. And Usyk knows this. Usyk knows, I just got to hit this guy hard early to bring his mind back to the fight before. Because he didn't win that fight. And he got dropped twice. And Dubois doesn't react well to punches. He doesn't. Not when Usyk's hitting you. It's not about the power of the punch. It's the accuracy of the punch. And it's the punch you don't see is the one that hurts you. So I don't hold out much faith for Dubois in this fight. I really don't. In fact, I'm of the belief that Usyk may stop Dubois inside 7 rounds. I really am. I'm of the belief he'll stop him. A little heavier. Dubois is going to come forward. He'll bring all that explosiveness coming forward. But when you're getting hit with shots, and shots you don't see, and the confidence starts dwindling from you. When the confidence starts dwindling for you, you start to feel tired. When the confidence starts dwindling for you, you start to feel sorry for yourself. And in doing so, feeling sorry for yourself, then you revert back to type, where all that confidence has got, that false confidence has been smashed. And we go back to where we were back when you got stopped the first time. And that is how I see this fight panning out. Dubois may have his moments. I'm not saying he doesn't. I'm not saying Dubois is not a big, strong, powerful guy. But what I am saying is, what he says is not organic. How he's behaving is not organic. But when he gets hit on the chin by Usyk, with a little bit more snap in that shot, his mind may revert back to who he is organically. And in that sense, that is where the beginning of the end is. So, at any moment in time, Usyk can change up his game plan. Daniel Dubois is not flexible like that. He's not adaptable like that. I'll give you a couple of examples. I remember when Joe Calzaghe was fighting Mikhail Kessler. And Mikhail Kessler in the fight was getting on top of Joe Calzaghe. I think he hit Calzaghe through the middle of an uppercut. And Calzaghe looked like he was going to lose the fight. He changed his strategy to deal with Mikhail Kessler and beat Mikhail Kessler. You have to be able to change strategy when things are not going your way. When Floyd got hit in the second round, he got wobbled by Sugar Shane Mosley, got hit with an overhand right. You notice he didn't hit that punch again by Mosley. Floyd changed things around at a point where he was about to get knocked out. Usyk has the ability to change on the fly. Dubois hasn't got that. He's one of these guys that has to rely on the corner man to bring through a result. And that's not, I'm not knocking Dubois now, but in this fight, he needs to be able to have a plan B when plan A is not working. And when plan A is not working, his confidence doesn't want to get shot to shit. I told you, this fight is not just your average two guys in the ring fighting. This is very much a spiritual fight. Usyk is fighting for his people that are at war. One, he's fighting for himself. Two, and his family, obviously. And for three, he's now fighting for his God and his spirituality. Which God do you serve? And he's going to hear that over and over again in his head. And he's going to say, you know what? I'm going to show you which God I serve. I'm going to show you which God I serve. And a man like that is motivated. David against Goliath. You know what happened when David fought Goliath, right? You know what happened. We've underestimated David. Oh, he's smaller, he's this, he's that. It's all right. It's all right. This story is David and Goliath yet again. Bigger, stronger, the future. Well, we'll see. But the way I see it here, Dubois is in a lot of trouble. A lot of trouble. And he may even blow his gasket early because he's put out so much energy trying to get to Usyk early, because that's the only way he can win the fight. If the minute Dubois starts backing up in his fight and he starts taking a step backwards, the writing is on the wall. The only way Dubois can win this fight is if he can pin Usyk on them ropes and keep him there without getting nailed or something nasty coming in. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think Usyk's going to allow it to happen. All right, those are my thoughts. I could be completely wrong, and if I'm completely wrong, then in my opinion, Dan Dubois is the greatest heavyweight that Britain has produced in the full belt era. He's better than Joshua and Fury, because none of those guys went on to become undisputed, and none of those guys beat Usyk. So he's numero uno. He's the undisputed champion. He's the undisputed best ever since Lennox Lewis. Case closed. If Dubois does it, and he should be given his props for that. And if he does do that, that means he really has, this confidence is not a false confidence, and that he really has got something after the, the trials and tribulations that Usyk, he's going to have to get through the trials and tribulations that Usyk has. And if his confidence is glass or wafer thin, in which I suspect it is, then you may have meltdown in the ring. If it's not, and it's solid and it's bulletproof, then he has a great chance. Right, those are my thoughts. I guess I'll see you in the fight. Good luck to Vlad Tsarenko in his fight as well against Solomon Dakers. It's a good fight there. Tsarenko must look good in the fight. This is his opportunity, and he should win with all the experience, with all the training, with the tutelage. I just hope that the nerves spur him on to do great things. This is an opportunity for him to go on and to put himself in the room of the heavyweights. Right, I'm out. Don't forget to rate, subscribe, leave your comments. I'm out of here. Take care.